Can I retire at 60 with $225,000 saved for retirement? Where should I take my retirement income from first? That's the next strategy that we're going to look at today. I've got Frank and Karen Bankerton. They're from Kentucky. Go Wildcats. And they are asking the question, can I retire and where should I take my retirement income from first? So let's look at this. So Frank and Karen are a client of mine. This is a couple that we've shown a few scenarios with, but I love their scenario because it's going to give you some clear direction on when and where you should take your retirement income from first. Now they're both 60 years old, okay? And they live in the great state where I grew up, the great state of Kentucky. Now they're both retired at 60, and we're looking first at taking Social Security at 62. So when the question is raised, when or where should my retirement income come from first, for them, we're going to look at Social Security first. Now for 2 years, they're going to take money out of their retirement investments, and then we're going to use Social Security for the majority of their spending, or we're going to try to at least. All right? No pension, so we basically just have Social Security. From an asset standpoint, Frank has a traditional IRA with $125,000 in it. Karen has a Roth IRA with $25,000 in it. Karen also has a traditional IRA with $50,000 in it. This was a 401k that we had rolled over. And they have a joint account at the United Kingdom, the University of Kentucky Federal Credit Union for $25,000. Now they have a home that's worth $350,000. So we're asking the question, can I retire with $225,000 saved for retirement? Now the portfolio weighted average we're going to use is 4.67%. Now we're going to project out a 5% rate of return. The reason we're going to use 5% instead of 4% is because Frank and Karen wanted to project out 5%. They're a little bit more growth minded with their investments, not necessarily like super growth minded, right? The market's averaged 8% over the last 50 years with inflation. So we're looking at 5% as half of basically what the market has done over the last 50 years. It's tilted just a little bit more towards growth. And you're also going to see why we're going to have to do that. Now, from an expense standpoint, we've got $3,000 in baseline expenses, and we have travel expenses of $416 a month. Now we're breaking the travel expenses down on a monthly basis, but if you multiply that by 12, it's right about $5,000 a month, or $5,000 a year is what they want to spend on travel. Now keep in mind, we're going to keep inflation for travel at 3.27% and their baseline expenses at 3.27%. So you guys understand with travel, to fly on an airplane from Tampa to Lexington or Tampa to Vegas, the tickets go up every year. Jet fuel goes up every year. Peanuts on the plane if you fly Allegiant, because you got to pay for everything. I think they just duct tape your seat to the airplane. They're like, good luck, see you later. That costs more money every year. There's inflation on travel. It's the same on your baseline, right? Baseline expenses are like your utilities, your food. There's inflation on that, right? Coke today, right? We're in the South, so we drink Coca-Cola. Sorry for all my Pepsi people up north, but Coke in the South and Coke in general costs more today than it did 2 or 3 years ago. All right, so that's inflation. Now, from a tax standpoint, we're married, filing jointly. So if we look at this, we're in a very low tax bracket. So taxes are not something that we're overly concerned for Frank and Karen. The real concern is, when should I take my retirement income, or where should I take it from? Social Security, retirement investments. So let's go to retirement. And if you see the projection, so here's the first 2 years where we're having to pull money out of our retirement investments. Here's Social Security kicking on. And essentially, our money lasts till 91 years old, which is a pretty good scenario. We still have the house over here that's worth $479,000 at 91. Obviously, mortality tables put us somewhere between 80 and 85. They're getting extended a little bit more. I like to talk about that because as our health care gets better in the sense of keeping people alive, and obviously quality of life is important. And as we're healthier today than we were 20, 30, 40 years ago, go read I love history. Go read some of the health recommendations from our government in the early 1900s, like eat a stick of butter. That's good for you every day. I wonder who was paying them to say that, right? And so our health has gotten better today. We understand that exercise and sleep and eating right, and so we may live longer. And if you're 60, you might live longer than your parents lived. And so we got to think about that. So we're looking at taking Social Security at 62. And the reason we're doing that is because they have a lower amount saved for retirement. We have $225,000 saved for retirement. If we extend this 62 down to, say, 67, 70, we're really going to be pushing the envelope on draining these spendable assets. And so we have to ask ourselves, we go back to income, and we can easily just kind of look at this and we can say, okay, what if we took it 64 for both of them? Let's go 2 more years. So instead of 62, we're going to take it 64. We go to retirement, and look at this, we're now down at 86. So we've lost 5 years, or 5 years of retirement income because we tried to delay Social Security. A lot of times people will call me and they'll say, hey Drew, I was reading this magazine or I was watching this YouTube video and this guy, he's a CPA, he told me to take Social Security at 67 or 70 because that makes the most sense for everybody. And I'm like, well, maybe, but I don't know without looking at your scenario. And so what if we take it at full retirement age for both of you? What's that going to look like? Here's full retirement age, 67 for Frank, 67 for Karen. You can see 2470 for Frank, 2200 for Karen. We go to retirement. Look at that. If they had listened, they'd be out of money at 65 years old. Like, that's quick. Like, you back at work. We don't want that. And so the easiest thing that we like to look at is we go to this and we say, okay, let's look at Social Security start. And let's make a better decision on when we should claim Social Security. And for them, the software is telling us optimizations at 62, which is what we already had said. So let's go back, let's adjust this, 62, 62, save both. So now we're back out at 91, which makes me feel really good. Now there are some things in this scenario that maybe I would like to see a little bit better, but let me show you some positives first. Rate of return needed to avoid a shortfall is 5.83%. That means if they make 5.83% on their investments for the rest of their life, they'll never run out of money. That's a possibility. I don't think the market's going to average 2 and 3% for the next 10 or 20 years. It could average 5 to 6%, which puts us right where we need to be, okay? And with fixed income interest higher today, we can get guaranteed interest at a better level, whether that's on a treasury bond or a municipal bond or a corporate bond or annuity, structured note, whatever. We can actually get some of this guaranteed interest a lot higher now than we could 5-10 years ago. So we don't have to just earn this 5.83% in the market. These people are very much growth minded. I've had to kind of pull the reins back on them a little bit because I'm like, hey, we can't go that fast, because if we go too fast, you might have sequence of return risk. Sequence of return risk is essentially that you go into retirement and you step into it and the market falls immediately. So your 225 becomes 200 or 150, and you're pulling out retirement income on a monthly basis and the market continues to fall. And so you're like trying to stay afloat and the market's doing this. We don't want that. We don't want sequence of return risk within our retirement assets. And let me show you what that looks like with the software. So for them, here, look, here's sequence of return risk, right? 2023, market's down 6%. 2024, market's down 6.82. 2025, we're down about a point. What does this do to our retirement? This is what they call a Monte Carlo scenario. We've just broken it out. And in their case, it puts them out at 89 versus 91. Not too bad, actually. Not so bad there. Let's generate another one. This one, we've got 4 years of sequence of return risk. Now what does that do? We're out at 91 again, essentially. So we go back up here. Let's generate it again. Okay, 4 years again of a bad market, generating returns. Now we're out at 87 and 91. So you just want to look at all of these possibilities when you're building out your retirement plan. You want to make sure that you're covering all your bases. We don't want to go into something, we don't want to go blindly into our retirement, right? The blind leading the blind, you basically fall into a ditch. And so we've got to look at all these different factors. I'm hoping and praying for them that we stay on track, but I don't know what the future holds. But for them, when should I take my retirement income, or where should I take it from first? It makes sense to take it from Social Security at 62, because that's going to be the best bang for their buck. All right. I hope this video has helped you. I hope this has helped in your retirement planning. God bless. Bye-bye.